right. Good day, everyone. Um, I am really glad to welcome you all to this session here on Purify. Today, we're here in another PIMVendors.com webinar. I'm Stefan Spijkers. I'm co-founder of PIMVendors.com, and we help you with all your product data challenges. So from getting your product data process in order to selecting a new product data or master data management solution, we're here to help you out with the best, independent advice in the market. And if you need more info on product information management, master data management, digital asset management, take a look at our site, take a look at our free tools that we have available there, take a look at our recaps of all our previous webinars, or just follow us here on LinkedIn to make sure you don't miss any other webinars as well. Today, we're going to discuss Purify, and we're going to discuss the whole AI revolution that is taking the world of information management by storm. What you probably will have seen by now is, and maybe probably already used by now, is ChatGPT to create product descriptions, or Sora, or any of these video or image models to create images and create automatic images of models wearing your clothes just based on the pack shot. If you haven't, just try that out. It's pretty cool. But I think we're getting from a sort of bar trick phase where Chat GPT and all these large language models and image models are being used in a, oh, that's cool, right, type of thing, and in a one-on-one chat interface to a more production-ready professional interface, where the real benefits when it comes to efficiency, maybe even when it comes to actual quality as well, are being applied in real production settings, so that we're really going to get and really reap the benefits of this AI revolution in production environments in your day-to-day life. That has taken a while. It has been 2.5 years, 3 years since the launch of ChatGPT. I should check my notes, but we're getting there, and I think we're at the cusp of a launch of many interesting tools like the one that we're discussing today here with Gregory and John and Thibaut. So if you have any questions for them during the presentation, we'll dive into Purify PIM and their vision on this intersection of AI and product data today. But if you have any questions for them, please use the comment box on your right-hand side and on LinkedIn. We have room to answer those questions at the end, but we'll also try to weave in those questions in the conversation so that we have some interaction with you during the session. I'll try to weave in those questions. I might interject with questions myself as well. So leave them there. And final housekeeping is the recording. We'll be recording this session, so if you have to leave early or you joined us late, no worries. We'll be sharing a recording with everyone that has signed up for this session, and we'll make it available on our YouTube channel as well. So with all that behind us, and without further ado, I'm very curious about what John is going to present to us today. John, the floor is all yours. Could you quickly introduce yourself and take it away?
Yes, thank you, Stefan. Good morning, everybody. So I'm John Dupré. I'm the CEO of Pimalion. And actually, Pimalion is a PIM publishing product that's been on the market for a good 10 years. And what we do is, with Pimalion Publishing, is we capture product data and we try to make that data exploitable. Now, over those 10 years, we've done a number of projects for large companies with large data sets. And the projects that were going well had a clear discriminator versus the projects that were going less well, if we look at it backwards. And the ones that didn't go very well usually was due to the quality of data. And if that brought us to the reflection, okay, how can we make things better? And the key phrase is actually the baseline of Purify is better product data. So we started thinking on how can we improve the quality of data, product data, because that's our field of expertise. And when we look back, you see that in the 80s to 2000s, people were very busy trying to find data and where do we find data and how can we then collect it over the next couple of years. And now we've gone through the era of assembling data with the data lakes and all those big initiatives. But basically, and this is a bit of a spoiler alert, it's coming back later, research shows that 80% of all data that's been collected and that's been assembled has zero business value. So bringing together that statement of 80% has no value and taking into account that we see it in our projects that we do together with our clients, that data still is a problem, we said, hey, we need to find a solution. So so now we declared this the new era as of 2025 is adding value to data, of course, via Purify. And if you look at your data initiatives, you can actually all categorize them in the magic 4 quadrants, but not the Gartner ones. But if you take a horizontal axis where you look at the cost of assembling and maintaining that product data, and if you take the vertical axis where you look at the value, then you can pinpoint everything everywhere. And of course, the sweet spot is in the top left, where you have low cost but high value. And actually, with Purify, the idea was, okay, how can we help people to go to that left top quadrant? That was the idea. And we looked around, and there's a lot of third-party products that do data quality. There's AI, a whole different source. And we figured, well, there's no way we can do better, but we can make it easier. So basically, Purify is a machine-to-machine data quality platform that takes data with the objective of enhancing the quality of that data for future usage, consumption, exploitation. It's operated by craftsmen with the intention to add value. So let's go over that again. So it's a framework, it's a platform that we operate as a SaaS solution for our clients. The idea is to do machine to machine. Humans are too slow and data volumes are getting too big to be able to process all of that data. So we even though today some of the demos we're going to do it manually to show the different steps, but the idea is that we take data, we pump it into the system, and it comes out on the other side. Of course, we need to do that only for data where we will have future usage and where it's going to bring value to your business. But it's not just a machine, a one size fits all. There is craftsmanship. There are people that are specialized in data management in our company, that are specialized in AI prompting, that fine tune along the way the agents that use the different backend systems or the different third-party systems or different AIs to get the best possible result for you. Okay, so basically that's the concept we came up with and said, okay, this is what we need to work on. This is what we want to achieve. And if we talk about data quality, there's a couple of factors that you need to take into account. We'll quickly go over them. So the first one is called certainty. Is the data that we have, is it correct? Are we sure that what we have is free from errors? Can we use this actually as a starting point? Is it complete? Do we have all the relevant data? Are the assets that we have, images, PDFs, manuals, those kind of things, are those linked to the product? And is it available in all the necessary languages? And do we have a complete set available to us? And then is it consistent? Are we always speaking the same language? And the same language doesn't mean French or Dutch or whatever, but it's also about tone of voice, usage of words, the way that you structure your content. So people find their way around your content easily. Or the attributes uniformly expressed. Am I always talking in kilograms and it's not switching from kilograms to grams to pounds or whatever? And are the products correctly categorized? And that's about data models, it's about taxonomies, about structures. And then, of course, we have to think about validity. Is it still true? What we had in terms of data or what we had in terms of products 2 years ago might not still be true today. And does it still match our business? And what I was collecting, what I was using in terms of data 5 years ago, is it still valid for the type of business that I'm doing today? Uniqueness, is this the single source of truth? Or is this something that lives different in different spaces, different lives, with the risk of going in different directions? Do we have duplicates? Is there redundancy in my data? And is structured and unstructured information linked? So coming back, if I have a support platform where I have support threads on my products, are those correctly linked into my data pool, to my product data itself, and to the assets I have available on the product? And timeliness. And today we're in a faster and faster moving world, is the data available fast enough? If today I have a new product I want to put on my e-commerce website, I don't have time to wait 3 weeks to go through all of the different processes to get publishable content ready for my e-commerce site. I need to have it right now, basically. And so also the volume then comes into the question: can we process at speed sufficient volume of data? And at the end, there's always the question to be asked, what you have to keep in mind: what's the value of my data? Where's the value of my data? And what's the cost of an error? And if you have those 3 parameters, if, for example, you have data where if it's wrong, it's not a problem, it doesn't make any difference in your business value, that should help you raise a lot of questions about, do I really need this piece of data, and is this really valuable to me? So now that we know the different fields we can work on, let's go to Purify. So basically, and coming back to Purify, the starting point is 80% of your stored data isn't creating real business value. So we said we need to have a system that has a faster time to market, both for the system as well as for the processing of data, that can take more parameters into account, can look at different sources, and that has more comparative power between those different data sets. Immediately, you're understanding that this is not something humans can do, and we only have a very limited brain. And obviously, you cannot have humans working 24/7, which is something we can do with machines. So we are capable of taking 1 million data points, push them through the system, let it run for 1 or 2 days or whatever, and then have my data set fully done, which is something we could never do with humans. And actually, humans also make errors, so we'd still have something which is not fully dependable. The system is not only about adding content and about creating content. It's also about finding the errors in the content, anomaly detection. And that's also one of the first cases we will talk about. It's not just about adding to it, but it's also figuring out where things are not as they should be. So first case, so Carrefour Belgium is one of our long-term clients in Payment Publishing. And they generate every week a number of folders that contain their promotions for their clients for the different types of shops that they have. But basically, the production of such a folder starts weeks ahead of time. It's about an 8-week cycle. So from the initial briefing to the final PDF, the printable PDF that goes to the printer to transfer it to paper, literally, there's a lot of manipulations, there's a lot of things that happen. And sometimes things go wrong, and there is in the promotion something that is not in line with everything that happened before. So the question was, how can we find out where the errors are? Gregory?
Thank you, John. So I'm Gregory. I'm a project manager for client Carrefour here at Pimalion. I led this project, so I'm going to shortly explain to you what we did, how we did it, and what the result is. Also prepared a video to showcase a demo, which we'll look into in a few minutes. So as John explained, there might be errors in a folder and we need to find them. So we call those errors anomalies. We compare with the source data, we look at the folder, or we look at the folder with intelligence and check if there is any discrepancies in there. The way we envisioned this is to add an extra person, in this case an artificial person, artificial intelligence, to the workflow at Carrefour. So one of our objectives was to have an impact as minimal as possible on the current way of working, as to reduce the impact of the change. And we created this AI reviewer who fits in nicely into the workflow. Right? We will see in the video there's a step where we say, okay, AI reviewer, now please review this folder. The AI reviewer will do its work, will come back with its feedback. Okay. What is the work that this AI reviewer does? He works page per page. So he takes a page, he checks the database entries for this page, he verifies if what he sees visually on the page matches the data in the database. Right? It also looks at the page with its own intelligence and checks if what he sees makes sense in between each other. So this is even data that is not stored anywhere. It's really looking at an image and saying that this does not make sense. Right? We will see in the video an example where there's a promotion, I believe a 2 + 2 free promotion. So ideally you would see 4 pack shots so that the client immediately understands, oh, I can buy 4 products. In the video, we've made a case where there's only 3. And so the AI sees like a 2 + 2 promotion, but you're only showing 3 products. This might not be what you want. Okay. A last thing maybe about the process of setting up this project before we dive into the video. The project has been done in, I think, roughly 1 month of setup, right? And then also roughly a month of training. What do we understand in training? The training part is important because the AI will not out of the box know what is important to you as a company or what is not important. So in the first run, it would give us like 10 anomalies, out of which 6 were good and 4 were things that are irrelevant. Like it's checking some field somewhere in the database which contains internal data which it should not take into account because that's just work in progress data or cannot be relied upon. And so during this month, we refined and refined until we get to a system that has like almost only true positive anomalies. Every now and then a negative one, false anomaly would pop in, but it's been very limited now. So I will share with you the video. What you will see is a fake promotional folder of Carrefour, which we set up for this demo. And on that page, on the first page of that folder, we created 3 problems. Let's look at the video. Okay. So here within the Pimalion interface, it's the PIM interface that Carrefour uses. You see on the left-hand side the promotional page. You saw a little typo there in the word dessert. This is the case with the 3 pack shots and the 2 + 2 promotion that you see. And here on the bottom you see a 2 + 2, but also 2 + 1 on the same image. Right? So we noticed 3 problems. At the right time, Carrefour and its agency working on the folder will say AI review to be done. So they manually launch the AI review. It takes a few moments. I think it takes about 1 to 2 minutes. I didn't want you to look at a blank screen for 2 minutes. And then it updates the annotation feed. So this is the reviewing tool within Pimalion that has been updated by the AI to say that there are 3 problems. So, of course, in this case, it found the 3 problems we wanted it to find. It found a typo in the dessert crème. It found a 2 + 1 in the image, but 2 + 2 in the database on the right-hand side at the bottom. And it only correctly spotted that there are only 3 pack shots in the image, but the promotion says 2 + 2. And from here, the whole flow actually reintegrates the normal workflow of Carrefour, where human people working on the folder will review these anomalies. We'll treat them, we'll make the corrections, and then run the reviewer again to check if there's nothing new that has been introduced as a problem before they're submitting this for further approval to human reviewers. We've had already in the first couple of weeks of use great success. Carrefour commenting us that the tool has found issues that the human reviewers did not find. Right? The demo case here is pretty straightforward, but we have pages where there's way more text, like a lot of wine on one single page. So it's tedious for a human to go through. The AI doesn't get bored of it, doesn't get tired of it, spots the errors correctly. That's the demo for Carrefour.
Thank you, Gregory. And I think it's very important to notice that we come back to the craftsmanship. It's not just a solution that we build ourselves, but it's finding the right tools that help you to do the OCR, to do the promotion detection, to do the product extraction. And there's all different AIs, all different tools that are attacked by different agents. And also the fact that during the course of initially the startup and maybe further on, we have our people monitoring what's happening and trying to fine-tune things to make sure we get the best possible result. And of course, as Gregory was saying, in the first week of use, Purify found issues in the promotional folder that human reviewers have missed. So that's actually a clear proof that it's working. It's adding value to the process. Another fairly equal scenario was one where we had a client that had a bunch of PDF invoices and scanned images of invoices, and they wanted to know out of all of those invoices for a period of a year, What were the different products that were on those invoices, have statistics, but also the product data. So we did a quick project where we OCR'd all of those files, PDFs, images, whatever. We detected the products that were on there with their prices. If it's a product that we didn't know yet already in the database, we created it with the data that we collected. If it's one that was already in the database, we updated it with the data that was not there yet, the new data and the new pricing, and updated the KPIs, and then exported that to their system. So this is a case where it's in a way similar to the previous one, but it's a little bit different because we store the data internally to then output it to their ecosystem. So it's important to note that although the previous example was Pymalion Publishing plus Purify, that Purify can operate fully independently within your ecosystem without any links to the rest of the Pymalion suite. So we have clients where we can integrate with Akeneo, with other PIM systems. We can get data from SAP and other systems. It can be Excel files, it can be whatever you want. Another one, and that's a very important one, I think, for the future, is product alignment. So here we actually get product data. We identify for each of the products where it actually fits into a taxonomy. So let's say it's a do-it-yourself, it's an electrical tool, and it's a grinder. We know that in the taxonomy, that type of product, it has a certain data model. So a grinder has a weight, it has an RPMs, it has a size of the disc. Is it with battery or is it with an electrical wire? And then we, over all of the grinders that are in the data set, that are at the same location in the taxonomy that use the same data model, we align all of the attributes and all of the data that we have. So we make sure that all of the RPMs are in thousands. It's 3,200, 4,000, whatever. We align the disc sizes, so it's 15 or 12 centimeters or bigger ones. We align the weights to put them everywhere in kilograms. And so you don't have somewhere 3.2 and somewhere else you have 3,200. And then we export that back. So this is a typical product alignment. And this would be one of those cases where we could potentially do a one-shot, where we take your product database, we go over it, we clean up everything, we hand it back over to you for integration into your current system. So there's minimum impact. And if you want, every couple of months, we can do a realignment of the new products that came in there. Of course, probably a lot of you are in the e-commerce business or trying to sell online or whatever, and you have products. And the challenge there in many cases is, where do I get relevant data for my product to show on my e-commerce site? And we have clients that get from their distributors, they get a brand and they get some kind of a reference, an EAN number or the number of the producer for the product, but not a lot more. So what we do there is we do an enrichment phase where we take the product with the data that we have and we try to complete the data set. We do a search for assets, images, manuals, and accompanying documents. We align the content that we have, which initially is more or less standard AI talk chat. We try to align it with the tone of voice of the client and his clients, and then we do the translation. And then at the end, we give that back to the e-commerce system for exploitation. And for this, we also have a couple of demos that we will show you. So I'm in Purify. First thing I do is I create an empty product because that's all I have. When I want to create a new product for my e-commerce site, I need to have a reference of the vault. And for example, this is the one I want to go for. I save it in a draft version, and then I can use my magic wand to transform it. And I'm going to use a scenario which says, hey, find and enrich the text on this particular product. And here we go. When I go to the log files, I will see that it's running and it's getting there one step at a time. This allows us as the product developers to also have debugging information to see what has been done. Basically, when I go now back to the product overview, I have my new product, which has been created. And I can see here in detail that already a lot of extra content has been found, has been generated, and has been added. Both textual content as well as some suggestions in terms of parameters, technical settings. So that's the first step. So I started from virtually nothing and I created my initial data set. So now let's see how we can continue.
And this is just a quick question, John. This is, you can just download this as an Excel to import it in your PIM or in your e-commerce system or in your ERP?
Exactly. So we have the process where we deliver an Excel file or a CSV or whatever, and then you manually can distribute into your system, which is a good case if you want to do one shots or you want to do something like every couple of weeks. We also have the cases where we have agents that connect at the end to redistribute that data within your ecosystem on an automatic way.
Right. And so it is basically, and can you integrate this into your tooling live? Like if I don't want to leave my interface of my my e-commerce system, I just want to create an API connection to Purify?
Yes, yes. That's actually the preferred case, if I can put it that way, and that's why we call it the machine to machine. Basically, if you have your systems, I have a dream, let's put it that way. You have your current ecosystem where you have your SAPs and the likes that generate product data, and then you want to put that on your e-commerce site in a Magento or whatever. We want to be in between as a service module, let's call it like that, where we get the data from the different sources, we purify, let's call it, put it that way, that data, and then we shift it to your e-commerce system for exploitation. So the data will basically not live long-term within Purify, and that's a conscious choice that we made. We are not a PIM, we are not a database, long-term storage, whatever. We take in the data and we generate and we put it out again.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense from a sort of integrating this into existing workflows, because you will not be replacing those interfaces anytime soon, or you'd rather not replace the interfaces and retrain the whole team on different steps in the workflow.
That's one of the points. The other point is also from a budget point of view, from a process point of view, to come to a decision at the client's side to change their whole way of working from an implementation time frame. It's all of those points that we try to avoid basically by working this way.
Right. Yeah, super interesting. But then from that implementation standpoint, well, I'm not sure what you have in store for us. So I'll let you finish the presentation first, and then we'll get to my other questions.
We'll talk about the implementation right after this. Just
Right.
hold on a second.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next video where we start with the data that we had and continue the process. We just left our beautiful product behind, as you remember, with all of this data. Now, I'm not entirely convinced this is the full thing that I want to have because it's lacking pictures. So what do? We go back to the magic wand. We are going to do another transformation, which is find the assets. I'm going to take also a new entity, so at least I know what's happening. I can see the difference. I can show a difference. So we have this new scraper process running. And actually, when I go to look at my product, voila, I see it popping up as a third version. So I started with an empty one, the textual one, and now the third one, where I have images that we found, which actually describe the product and come from the brand. So at this moment in time, I have a rather full set, and I also found a PDF file that gives me data about the product and about the brushless compact screwdrivers of the Vault. So we're finding all types of assets, and actually this comes from the Vault itself, so it's certainly relevant, and it's also from my country in the language that I'm using. I would say, good job, well done. So we're getting there. Next step. Voila. I have pictures, I have text.
Our lovely product, which has now a text, parameters, and images. However, the text is a standard AI text, and it's not up to my tone of voice that I use for other products on my e-commerce site. So, magic wand, let's help out on that, transform that to and apply my rules, my tone of voice. There we go. Hold on. And as you can see, I have a different text. Just to show you what happens under the hood, this is the prompt that we crafted and actually gives the rules to the AI engine about my tone of voice and how I want it to be written. With as a result, this text, which is on one hand a bit larger but more convenient to read.
Voila. So now I should have a full product description with assets in my tone of voice. So the last step is to basically make sure I get a translation.
Very nice, you'll say, but my site is multilingual. What happens for other languages because it's not just French? Well, back to the magic wand, where we have a scenario that says, hey, let's translate it to Dutch. And of course, it can be any language that you desire. I have a go at it. Let's check out the log files. It's running. There we go. And we have now not only a perceuse-viseuse, but also an accu-schroefboormachine, which gives me the text in Dutch, and I can have it for any language. As you can see with those demos, in a couple minutes time, you can have a full effortless experience to provide content on your e-commerce site.
I'm glad that you're as impatient as I am when it comes to these AI things and refreshing the screen. This is cool stuff. I like. I mean, I'm interrupting you, John. Sorry, but I like how it is abstracted away from the actual user, right? So what I see customers struggling with is the copywriter doesn't want to, or maybe wants to set up the prompt once, but they don't want to be distracted by this interface, if that makes sense. But
Yep.
as a head of content or head of marketing, I want to have fine-grained control on my tone of voice, and I want to manage that on this level, right? I like the split of different interfaces for different use cases, basically.
Correct. Yeah, so basically, and now we're coming back to the framework part. So we have a library of agents, we call them, that we can stitch them together. And if you look at the different cases we have, those are the puzzle pieces. And depending on what is your business problem, we can take different pieces of the puzzle and put them together, and the order could be different, with the idea of initially test driving the system with a couple of products, like we did here, and to craft the first prompts and the first selection of third-party tools we're going to put behind it. Of course, ultimately, once we have done a successful testing phase, the idea is that we go bulk and that basically the humans don't have to interact anymore. Here, it's nice to have one product and to see in detail what happens, and you need to do that in the initial phase. And we'll be offloading a lot of that work on our shoulders and offloading it from your shoulders. So that's our addition to the project. Of course, we need you and your knowledge of your clients, products, and business to feed us and to validate as well what we're doing. But at the end of the day, the idea is that it becomes an automatic system, and actually you're ahead of content or your product managers within the company, they don't have to worry about this anymore. They know that if they find a product, they know that it's going to end up on the website with the necessary assets, with all of the data in the right tone of voice for all the different languages, without them having to fight a whole bunch of process and people to get things sorted. That is indeed the objective at the end of the day. So we've talked about this. I'm sure, I hope that we all here in the call, we are now thinking about, hey, but I have something that I could probably model into this kind of solution. So please, if you do, let us know. We'll be very happy to discuss this with you after the webinar or in the next couple of days or weeks. Basically, if we have a project or if we have a contact, our aim is to bring you to results in 30 days. So basically, day one, today, it's showing you what it can do and how it works, inspire you, let's call it like that. And together with you, find your current pain, where can we help? And then take that as a mandate, as a project to start with. Over 10 days time, we deliver a beta test. So you give us a couple of samples of products, SKUs that you want us to handle. We, based on the discussions we had, we figure out the building blocks that we need from our library, the agents. We put the project together and we run those first sample of products in a proof of concept style. And then we come back and we say, hey, okay, look, this is what we have now as a result. Is it sufficient? You like it? Do you need to do anything better? But basically the idea is after those first 10 days that we have a successful beta test, and then in 30 days time that we are operational. Why the extra 20 days? It is probable that with the standard set of agents that we have, we are not covering the full 100% of your need. So it could be that we need to develop or we need to create new agents. For example, to integrate with your SAP system or integrate with your e-commerce system. In and out is also important. But the idea is that we want to try to be operational in 30 days. After those 30 days, we go in production, quote unquote. So that's when we start processing data. And it could be that we say, hey, we want to process, we have a big data set, but we want to process only like 10,000 from a budget point of view. We'll come to that. We want to process like 10,000 a month. Or it could be that you say, hey, we want to do a big burst the first month and just push everything through and then do the updates on a monthly basis afterwards. Or we want to have a continuous flow. Those things are all possible for us. And it actually doesn't really matter. We put the project there, we let it run, and you send what you want. Of course, on a forever basis, we can keep on improving because your data is going to change what you're inputting. You might think about other things we can add. We might think about improving things. So it could be also a continuous cycle of improvement. And basically, the question I usually ask prospects is, but hey, look at this. What do you have to lose? Because in 10 days time, you will know if we can add value or not. And basically, who could do this better and faster? It's an audacious question, but we do dare to be proud of what we've achieved so far. Coming then to the pricing model. So it's very simple. You pay for results. The basic setup, the proof of concept is free. That's a very simple one. After the proof of concept, if we continue, there's actually a two-tier cost model. So on the one hand, for every product that successfully goes through the whole flow, through the whole process, you pay 25 cents per product, with a minimum of 1,250 per month, which is about 5,000 products per month. But that's basically for the usage of our services, of our infrastructure, and of our software. Now, the second tier of the cost model is the third-party costs. So we are using external AIs, third-party tools, platforms, whatever. And we discuss together which ones we will use. Because it could be that you say, you know what, today I'm at 0. If I can improve things by 80% with a minimal cost, this will already take me up 17 levels higher. It's not worthwhile immediately to invest in the most expensive AI that will give me the 100% result, because that's going to cost me a lot more. And we all know that the pricing models of AIs, they're very variable. So in that discussion, we don't want to be kept ourselves to estimates, to predictions, whatever. It's a very simple model. We discuss, we use, you pay that party cost plus 20%, which is our management fee on top of that. And that way you can control your budget in terms of the number of products that you push through the system, and you can control the cost that they have. So it's a very transparent system, we think, and it's an easy way to be fair on all sides in order to make the system run. If we have to do custom agent development or whatever, that's in time and material, as any project would be. And we aim for a 12-month commitment, but you can stop the project anytime if we're not adding any value to your products. So that's our commitment to what we deliver. If you feel we're not doing our job, then we can stop it at any time. So hopefully, in the meantime, you've understood the basics of the platform. In a way, it's an orchestration framework where we take in data, we put it to different third-party AIs, tools, and whatever, and we put it out again. And so it's a robust, because we can handle large data volumes, orchestration framework, which has a library of agent workers that we can string together to solve a business issue. So we're using your data, and we're trying to scale according to your needs, and we're using in a sequence and securely third-party tools to which each agent providing one functionality. We try to measure the KPIs because it could be that, for example, if we're doing image recognition, that a number of images are not suitable for recognition, so that will be a KPI that we report on. And if that happens, we do have interfaces or ways that we can have humans intervene and say, hey, this one, you didn't recognize it, but we still want to process it. This is extra data, so you can process it. Or you can say, hey, you know what, let's forget about it. So in terms of the example you saw with Carrefour, the anomalies are reported within the context of Pimalion publishing, and it's humans that can either correct the error or say, you know what, 2 plus 2 with 3 pack shots, that's fine by me, we'll ignore it. That's the repair of the KPIs. So basically, this is a small sample of the agents that we already have today. We are continuously adding to this library of agents. We're expanding the family, which means that over time we'll be able to handle more and more business cases as out-of-the-box solutions with our solution. Voila. So we wanted to give you a brief view on how we see things, and then the mix between technology and the fast-moving world of AI, the craftsmanship, and the framework that we have, and hopefully we can help you in the near future.
That's cool. But before we wrap up, we have about 15 minutes left. I still have 15 questions, so that's good.
15, okay, good timing.
But this is also the time for the audience to share their questions or concerns. I think one of the main questions I had regarding the pricing model, John, is like, why should I pay 25% on top of the model costs? I can just use chat interface for ChatGPT to write a product description, right? Why should I pay extra?
So that's a very good question. There's a very good reason why you shouldn't do that, because then you're linked to ChatGPT and you're linked to creating your own prompts and model. You're not able to, or it's going to be very difficult for you to string together what happens in ChatGPT with another AI model that can do the cleaning, with yet another one that can do the translations, with yet another one that is going to do asset recuperation. So basically, the knowledge and the effort and the investment that we made to make that possible is actually what is covered by those 25 cents, plus the fact that on a continuous basis, we develop new agents, so we expand the possibilities of what you can do with those 25 cents worth of money. Plus, we also continuously look at your data, your results, and try to improve things. So either you do it yourself, and I would assume it's going to cost you more than 25 cents per product, or you let us have a go at it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe regarding sort of getting this set up and starting this for customers, like what I see happening in this space is that you usually be able to give this to I don't know, your content lead or your marketing lead, but this is moving ever more. Like PIM was already a step into the IT direction. With the expanse of AI, it's even moving further into the IT direction. How do you see this at clients? Like maybe this friction between the business use case and the IT configuration and deployment?
So we completely offload that burden, because the screens that you saw in the demos, the clients are not the ones operating those screens, and they're not the ones configuring those screens. So that's all our type of business. So what's the challenge for the client is to explain his problem on the basis of his data, that we can understand it and translate it for him into the IT space, if I can put it in your words. So we like to talk with business users that know their business. We can also talk with ITers. That's not the problem, but basically we try to take away that burden from the client, the IT side.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting because I also see that as a huge bottleneck for companies that are looking to implement AI, right? As I said in the intro, I now see this current phase of the revolution, or current phase, is that it is being applied in production, but it is very difficult to do this with your existing operations happening next to you, with the limited knowledge that your IT department maybe has on AI. And I think the difference between, there's always this difference between like the capability growth of your team and the growth on the technology, right? It's always this challenge of getting your team to that technology frontier. But specifically with AI, I think the developments have been going so fast that getting the right stuff implemented, right? That's also not an important caveat. Like, you have to implement the right setup. Is very, very difficult to do it with internal resources.
Yeah, and a couple of comments on that basis. So first of all, if you have somebody within a company that came up with a prompt and with the usage of AI, we can integrate that. So we can stitch literally that knowledge into an agent and let it run, but also integrate it into our flow to expand what he's done. I think a second element, so it's not a waste in what you do internally. A second element is that we have people that are specifically living, breathing AI, and they have a much better, I dare to say, follow of what's happening and what's moving and what's improving. And thirdly, by usage of the framework, if, for example, and we've actually had this case in a project, we started with using a particular AI, but we figured at some point in time we hit the wall and what it could deliver. And in the meantime, there was a new other AI solution that was released. We said, you know what, let's try that one. And it was like a 1 hour switch from one AI within our framework to another. So basically, it also allows you to leverage our knowledge, but also leverage on what we learn quite quickly within the context of your application, of your usage, with the newest AIs and the newest developments.
Yeah. I mean, we're moving into this, can I call this orchestration of AI models and AI?
That's exactly what it is.
AI agents, if that is a thing. I think the definition of agent is a bit murky. Some people call agents real agents, and some people call every API call an agent nowadays, as it is the mot du jour.
We see an agent as a monolithical single function element. So we look at it again from a business perspective, and that's because we want to model it as the pieces of the puzzle that we can put together. And if you put too many things into one agent, then it becomes difficult to put it into a different context with different other puzzle pieces around it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then maybe what I'm interested in is the human in the loop, because 2 years ago, everyone was creating an interface into ChatGPT and maybe even a digital assistant to chat with, and trying to figure out how to integrate a chat interface into an existing solution, because chat was the way to do these interfaces. Now, the next step was getting some sort of because you can't just always chat all these requests to an agent, right? That makes no sense. To a chatbot, right? That makes no. Sometimes it makes sense. Now for this doesn't make sense. Now the next phase is sort of doing this en masse, right? Because you can basically just upload your whole catalog of millions of SKUs to Purify. But then how do you deal with the human in the loop or actually the trust issue that people have? Like you get feedback from in Purify, right? With the different descriptions and also like, hey, we found a technical data sheet in your language. Do you want to add it? Yeah, how do you deal with the human in the loop?
So actually, basically, you've touched upon the most difficult issue within the whole context. It's the human, because we're all used to have a screen and to approve things. But I think we need to realize, and it's a very difficult point to convert people to that religion. If I can put it that way. We have to step away from the human loop. We're becoming the weakest link in the chain. We're no longer the strongest link. So, in the ultimate application of Purify, there are no humans in the loop. Of course, that's a dream. That's why, for example, for Carrefour, you see that we integrate the remarks of the AI, because we could easily correct them via AI. So we do create the annotations within the flow. We see with other clients that we set KPIs for every agent. We can say there's a KPI. So I want to have 80% quality, or I want to have 100% quality, or I want to do whatever it takes. It's good. Of course, if you select I want to have 100% quality, you will have a lot more products being processed by that agent that don't meet that 100%, where you have to say, okay, these ones, we put them in quarantine, and that's where you have to have a human that goes in and says, yeah, this one is not good, or this one we can improve, or this one we take it as it is. You can only do that for small volumes. And that's why the initial 30 days is very important, because there we do very short loops on small data sets to figure out all of the particulars of your data, but actually where we also build that trust, so that after 30 to 40 days with Carrefour, because that was one of the first ones that we did, it took 2 months overall, 1 month of setup and 1 month of training, and a lot of training also on the human side to mentally prepare them for this. But that's actually the biggest factor today.
Yeah, dealing with the human is always the biggest issue.
Let's look in the mirror.
Get rid of him. No, but it is interesting to see this development, right? And to get to that trust, you need to sort of either get to 99% accuracy or 100% accuracy, or better than human accuracy. I think it's the same with, like, for example, full service driving or whatever it is called, like autonomous driving. You want it to be better than a human, but actually much better than a human, to be able to trust it. And I think it's also this lack of insight, like you said with the example with the Carrefour folder. Like, you now believe that the humans are errorless, right? Because you don't see the errors. And then when you start applying AI, you think, oh, I need to control the AI, and I'm going to make sure that there are no errors there as well. But actually, already it's better.
The other way around, yeah.
It is the other way around, but you just don't see it. And now it feels scary to let 1 million SKUs be translated by AI, or be automatically classified by AI, or be automatically enriched by AI. That feels scary, but the quality will actually improve versus the current situation is scary. Like, having humans do this is actually more scary.
And I also want to come back to the 4 quadrants. So if you have a very high value product with a very high impact of error, that one, still do it by hand, get the confidence. But that's probably going to be like what percentage of your catalog? 5%, 10%? And then take the 70%, which is actually a lower value but a high cost ratio, and do this automatically, because you have fewer sales, and the cost of an error is also less risky and less impacting. So use the time, the human time, where it brings real value, and don't burn human hours and brain cycles and whatever on products that are maybe not worth it. And I think that's, of course, especially for the next couple of years and before we get to that 99% whatever. And I, in a way, I'm quite sure we'll never get to 100%. But use the balance between the two to decide what you put on one side and what you put on the other side.
Yeah, cool. I don't see any live questions from the audience right now, but I would like to invite everyone to reach out to you after the call if there are any questions or if they want to see some deep dives or maybe go right into those like proof of concepts or proof of values in the 10-day or 30-day process together with you guys.
That would
I
be
share
fantastic.
your contact details or your LinkedIn profiles, at least in the chat, and I think that people will be very able to find them. With that said, I'd like to wrap up for today, and thank you, Jean. Thank you, Gregory.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
And sharing what is, I think, currently the forefront of the application of frontier AI technology in the product data space. And so thanks for sharing that well, that outpost somewhere out in the West, the wild wilderness,
The Wild West,
where
yep.
everyone should aim for to get there. Let's put it that way. What I want to do as well, I mean, I hope we speak again and see where this ends in 3 months or 6 months time, because this is of course always a developing set of features and agents. As you said, you want to add more agents to the family. Very curious where you end up in 6 months. For the audience,
so are we in a way.
further away, yeah, don't leave us stranded here on Earth while you go on over and explore Mars. But for the audience, thanks for joining us today, both on LinkedIn and on YouTube. It was a pleasure to host you guys, and we have a lot of events coming up. So stick around, follow our page on LinkedIn, and see you there. Thanks again, and see you soon. Bye-bye.